are live. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Happy New Year. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live and when we're posting Gantt charts drawn by hand. And of course, if the content works for you, smash the like button. We're trying to break our record of 1,500 views and 400 likes. So let's get there. Let's get there. And of course, Happy New Year. And I wish you prosperity and happiness. And I'm going to help you get there. So let's see who's on the stream. We have Israel here. Welcome. Richard Barry from Augusta. Go Dogs. Right? We have Rochi from Ireland. Crypto Lion is here. Right? Sinister Class, hi. You are here on time. Welcome. Aiken, welcome. You're back. Sarah, how you doing? Crypto at 2 a.m. We are live, yes. Jersey in Colombia, welcome. Crypto Crazy is here. Happy New Year, right? We have the Tar Heel State. Caleb in the house. Nico from New York City. Got to find our UPS driver in Brooklyn. Get him back. BB, welcome. Definitely appreciate everybody who's here. As you can see in the top part of your screen, we are telling people that the market update is back in force. I have my own channel. So like I said, please check that out. What are we going to do today? Wow, it's the first day of the new year. And I've let everybody come out with their predictions and let everybody say Solana was dead. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then normally what I do is I like to slip my work out after they're all done. Today, we're going to be doing some seriously GAN heavy stuff. And if you're into Bitcoin, here's a question for you. What year in the history of Bitcoin will 2023 look like? Like people go, oh, it'll go up, it'll go down. But how about a roadmap? Or how about taking a shot at a roadmap using some seriously spooky GAN stuff? If you're interested in that, don't go anywhere. If you're into Cardano, don't go anywhere. Got a really interesting chart there. We're going to do top altcoins for January, and that in itself is a headline, because nobody was talking about altcoins probably until this morning. Because we're wondering if it's going to be a chill sort of January, like January up all across the cryptoverse, and then sideways to down for Bitcoin, but then up for alts and maybe stocks. Okay. So if you need the roadmap, if you need to know what year this is going to be like in Bitcoin, and you want to take a shot at figuring out how to start trading it now, check it out. If you're into the stock market, you're in the right place. We have an S&P prediction along with talk of commodities. Yeah, I got some commodity news for you that you're going to want to hear. And then I'm going to tie that back in to where I work now. And we're going to be talking about gold and water. Most specifically, water. And now I was into this before I did my GAN research, and now I'm never going to stop talking about water. So if you want to hear about it, stick around. Bull Runner is here. Hi. Okay. Crypto Crazy loves that GAN work. JP Stanley is here. Right? Let me get my pencil out. If anybody's got Iron Alien is here. Welcome. Okay. Just going to write down GLMR, and we will try to take as many requests as I can. Daniel J is back. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Okay. Starting off with PowerPoint. PowerPoint people have mixed feelings on. Today, I'm bringing the PowerPoint wood. Okay. As you can see, the market update is back. Okay, this is not investment advice, but it is the market update. Now let's talk about ETH. everything starts with ETH. Used to be everything starts with Bitcoin. I think this year, everything starts with ETH. We can start talking more about Bitcoin later. I'm going to get to that. I just basically used a linear regression band. Just like, hey, let's take the debacle at the end of the year and give me a band, right? Standard trading view type work. Now, where's ETH? Well, ETH is a bird on a wire getting ready to fly because ETH is perched on that sort of middle regression line. Guess that's, you call that like the mean. And it's just sitting there at 1187. And if you check the hand-drawn Gantt charts that, I don't know, the video's on my Twitter, that's crypto_noble. And as I understand it, we're going to be releasing it on YouTube. There's a Gantt line at 1200. And there's serious support at 1150 and ETH held. So anybody talking about ETH 1400 by the end of January? Anybody up for that? I am. How about ETH to 1400 quicker than that? Why not? Right? Everyone is all sold out, fudded out, bearish. Wendy O actually said it perfectly. She's like, stop talking about the mistakes of the elites and focus on making money. That's not exactly what she said, but that's my take. Perfect tweet from her, right? Got to give props for that. Get over the FUD. The FUD was last year's story. Ethereum and a rally in January is this year's story. Now, there's also another angle that we want to make sure we take, which is make money while you can. Okay. My guess is January and then maybe summer rally will go through it. Make money while you can. If you got to take risk, even if it's scary, do it when things are cheap and everyone is negative. Dollar index, it's going up forever, right? Everyone who reads Bloomberg magazine is an ace trader, or at least everybody who trades off Bloomberg magazine is an ace trader. Wrong. Wrong. Because up here, the dollar index was going up forever. And as you can see with the regression band, it's found resistance at 104 and it's probably going to 100. So goodbye, going down. So sad. See you later, US dollar. So tired of hearing about how the deficits, the social disorder, and an unending Fed tightening cycle are just, it's all baloney, right? No one focuses on the deficits and everyone thinks this rate hike cycle is going to last forever. That's ridiculous. And even if it does, they're going to sell the dollar anyway. Okay. Hurls is asking, do I like any AI projects to look into? All right. So one brief announcement. I have heard from a guy I respect in the YouTuber world who is like a former technology person. You better be careful chasing altcoins that suddenly attach AI to what they do. It's not that easy. AI needs to chew up a lot of data. So I know people are looking for AI projects. I'll do my best. But like I said, don't get fooled. Don't get fooled. Nerfball is here. Welcome. Okay. Hurls the Aussie is back. JP Stanley. Okay, let's look at total 3. You're like, what? That's altcoins. Total 3. Total crypto market cap without Bitcoin and Ethereum. Total 3 is moving sideways, possibly doing the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Meanwhile, this Williams oscillator, which you can barely see, and that's the point, when it gets near that 0 level, and maybe you get a technical breakout, total 3 can go up a lot. Like the market cap on total 3 can easily go back to where it was, say, mid FTX debacle. Right? I mean, the give up trade in Solana, the give up videos I've seen in Solana. I mean, yeah, okay. Solana's got major problems, but if they come out with a cell phone and start airdropping you enough money to pay for the cell phone, then, you know, Solana at single digits might actually be interesting. And even if that's not a long-term thesis, I'm sure people can come up with a reason why big altcoins could be a buy, right? I mean, I think it's ETH for sure, but the stuff that everyone's sold out of, right? Total 2, speaking of ETH, and everyone has sold out, right? This market cap could go much higher, right? You could be talking about something between 445 to 460. So you could be talking about $20 billion in altcoin market cap, including ETH. To me, this looks like the quiet breakout. Like, seriously, like, you know, this is being done on January 2nd. I want it to have a shelf life, but, you know, don't doubt if January is a positive month, and don't doubt it starts tomorrow. I wouldn't doubt it. Like, everyone goes, oh, gee, wow, this is going up. You know, especially since it should have gone down at the end of the year. Okay, Avalanche, same thing, man. You know, we were talking about last week about, you know, hey, you know, some of these things like Avalanche, Solana, I think we were looking at Polkadot and Near. Definitely want to go back and check out the stream that ended the year, right? There was a lot of support in all these big altcoins. And it, like, not just support, but like hidden pivot bottom targets, some of them to the number. Now, I'm not showing those here because that's on the prior stream. We'd love it if you've watched another video. But even if you can't, the point is there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room here. Like, you could be talking about 13 in Avalanche, right? I mean, Eric M is back. Welcome. Okay. Daniel J is here, right? We're buffering. All right. We'll we hope that won't be a problem going forward. All right. What are your thoughts on DXY? Do you think it can go below 100? Yeah, I do. Not that much far below 100, but actually I have a chart on that. So don't go anywhere. You're right. I was like, wait, did I look at that? Yeah, I have a weekly or a monthly chart in DXY that I'm going to get to soon. Okay. All right. Let's kick to the next one. Polkadot. Okay. Polkadot, if Polkadot takes out 4.5, it can go to 520. I mean, this is just like straight, you know, it like sits around the average, it sits around the mean, and then maybe it goes up here and retests it, just like, you know, it kind of got wild around November. I don't know, maybe it can just be an orderly move back, or they just do it all in one day. Brick Dreams is here. You're never too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. Doge, personal heartbreaker from Q4 of last year, not giving up. If it takes out 0.0718, there's hope in Doge. I can't believe Elon is going to sit around and let Tesla just sink. I can't believe he's not going to come out swinging. Zcash. Now, a word on Zcash. I can't believe privacy is not going to be a narrative for the next cycle, if not sooner. Zcash and Litecoin have been moving. A lot of times Zcash and Litecoin moon before the market dumps. I would love to see that change. Now, the way I would do it is if Zcash takes out 42 on a weekly close, go with that. Because this regression line, right, has stopped Zcash going all the way back to the summer. So if Zcash pops through 42 or breaks this regression line, you know something has changed. Greg wants to know, am I still bullish on art? Yes. And I haven't quite figured it out yet, but if you can find some sort of tie-in between art and fashion, go with that. I still like art. I still like fashion. Even though I'm not exactly a fashion guy. We did a lot of stuff at NFTLA last year called Phygital, where you'd buy something in the metaverse. Your little metaverse character could wear it. Then you get a jacket in the mail with a QR code about the artist. So you could flex about the custom jacket you got in the metaverse, and you would, you know, you would pay the artist directly rather than having to pay Gucci, who paid the artist nothing. Okay. So Phygital. Now, Cardano. I got a Williams oscillator reading over here that you can't even see. I didn't put an arrow there, but if I did, it wouldn't matter. When the Bill Williams awesome oscillator, which is an oscillator that takes into account and sort of pulls all your oscillators together, like your stochastics, your RSI. You don't have to look at all of them. You just have to look at that one. And when it gets close to zero, that's when big moves happen. And lo and behold, in Cardano, there have been readings just like now, back in September, right? Then there was a bottom in October, a top in November, right? When these oscillators get near zero, there can be moves. Cardano could be making a major bottom here. God, I mean, they just totally gave up on this thing. You know, it has no use. I don't know why they gave up on this thing. I mean, they gave up on all of them. They gave up on altcoins in general. But if retail's got any ammo, which, you know, that's a debatable issue. But man, I mean, you're buying this like 3 candles off the low, and then look at this divergence, right? You made all these new lows in Cardano, and the stochastic, I'm sorry, the 13-day RSI made a higher low, and it's crossing up. I mean, you could be looking, even if it's a bear market rally, man, you could be looking at like 10% up. Solana's telling you that. You could be looking at a major up day across crypto when the hedge funds and the institutions walk in and they're like, damn it, I'm underinvested. Okay. Jimmy is here. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. Greg says NFA, but for a fashion, check out Tiger Bobs. Okay. For sure, man. Now, here's the answer to the question in the beginning. Based on GAN research, what year would I leap to? Like this is definitely a leap, but what year would make sense for Bitcoin itself to sort of parallel? So if I had to pick a year, what year would that be? The answer is 2012. 2012. Okay. Now, what happened in 2012? Well, you had sort of a choppy Q1, right? I think in this case, I think it's up instead of down in the beginning, but it's probably going to be in a range, at least Bitcoin is, right? So Bitcoin could have its sort of like God candle this week or at the end of the month. And then Bitcoin is going to stay positive, but maybe inside of a range. Then there'll be a dip in March, and then the summer rally in June. So with Bitcoin, the fact that Bitcoin is going to sit here possibly, right, up in January, down in March, I don't know. If Bitcoin goes nowhere, doesn't this give altcoins and maybe stocks room to move? Right? Maybe there's indigestion off inflation, one last FOMC meeting. I don't know. Who cares? The Fed broke something. It may have been the American consumer. Who knows? The point is, okay, positive January, range, dip in March, summer rally. Like 2012 would be the roadmap. Now, just as a side note, I want to come back to like, you know, present day. You got to watch out late August, September. You got to watch out for Rectember. You got to watch out for Rectember starting early, I think. This year, I think Rectember will be more prevalent than sell in May and go away. Okay. I think if they give you sell in May and go away, one, I think everyone's going to be saying that, which is why I don't want to say it. I want to talk more about summer rally, and then I want to talk about, you know, equities kind of having a major event in October. So this could be one of these years where equities do really well, okay, up until the fall. And then it all kind of gets maybe unwound. So you look at S&P monthly, and it's, you know, 90-month regression band going back to basically when Trump was elected. You know, you have this thing sitting on the bottom regression line for like the 4th month in a row. Jesus, did they give up on this thing at the end of December? I mean, this was like it was going to zero. Okay, just as a seasonal reminder, when equities have a debacle, there can be dips in March. So, you know, in 2008, which was a different kind of debacle than last year in equities, but you know, in 2008, the market made a great bottom in March. Okay, that was actually 2009. Okay, now Going back to years ending in 3, that's a GAN thing. Check out November of 2012 as the bottom, a final dip in December of that year. Sorry, that should be 2012. And then it rallied, and there was kind of a final dip in February. And then it was sort of up only for equities after that. That'll be really interesting. Okay, back to dollar index. So 90-month regression band. Obviously, dollar was, completely lost its mind for 3 months here. It's a long time to put up with the dollar losing its mind. And the dollar turns around, crashes back. So when you take out the top of the regression band, you might think it would take out the bottom, which would be 90. So I can't believe the dollar index is not going to see 90. This Williams oscillator is telling you a huge move is coming. It's already started. Okay. Back to equities. Post.com crash, bottom of the market was 2003. So when we talk about buy the dip, okay, I think you're going to want to do a trading play for altcoins in January, and then it's Bitcoin and equities in March for a real move. Coinbase. God, I was watching one of those college football playoffs, college American football playoffs, okay, which were, competitive for the first time in a while. And I saw that blue hue come up on my screen, and I was like, oh my God, is that Coinbase? And sure enough, Coinbase making the bold move, telling everybody that we're still here. Actually made me happy. All that crypto.com and FTX stuff was very cringy. Okay. Really going to be interesting to see if they come out gunning for Coinbase. I suspect that one of the bigger winners, if the stock market does well, altcoins have a bid, and Bitcoin has a summer rally. Let me just ask this. Where's Coinbase going to be? Is it going to be at 35? Galaxy Digital. Galaxy Digital was a great leading indicator for crypto during the bull market. Then they got caught in Luna. They had to deal with the suck like we all did. Then 2 days ago, or 2 business sessions ago, Galaxy was up. Galaxy dipped on the last day of trading and wound up closing green. Don't doubt that they're going to get after this, because ETH, the currency of culture, right? I don't know. The Solana phone, Cardano at 25 cents. I mean, folks, that's a fire sale. Not to mention, nobody has talked about NFTs, and I'm glad somebody brought it up. That, I mean, how cheap is art? Fashion, beauty. Let's find some. I'm not an expert, but it's pretty cheap. And everybody thinks all these assets are all dead. I mean, can you imagine? Can you believe that they used to have like celebrities and astronauts and, crypto.com commercial, and Coinbase has to start off its commercial by saying, do you think crypto is going to zero? Like that commercial was just like, oh my God. And then I looked at the GAN stuff. I'm like, Jesus, you could just come in tomorrow and this could be gone, because people realize they're just going to go, oh, okay. It really isn't that bad, right? We read the news and we read the tape, and we assumed that what was happening now was going to happen in the future. Spin is in. Okay. Kent is here from Stockholm. Welcome. Right. Welcome. The Fuzz Crypto is here. Okay. Here's a question. Which sector does better in 2023? Commodities, gaming, or NFTs? Okay. Unfortunately, that's easy. Commodities. Okay. Weather, droughts, storms, and freezes. It's already being traded. And some of the GAN work, some of the astrology stuff that I'm freestyling some of it. Right. And of course, I work there. I'm a director of research at Gold Retriever. Okay. That's GLDN. So on one hand, I work there. They have a sort of a gold token that you use to pay for a new water futures contract or a new water pricing mechanism. Let's put it that way. And I got into this. I got into GLDN. Okay. And believed in it because of this whole idea of water futures. And then I saw some GAN work today in this book that I bought. And I was like, oh my God. So if you want to hear about that, don't go anywhere. Okay. Don't go anywhere. Oh my God. ARKW, ARKK, Kathy Wood, and ARK. She's been dollar cost averaging in Coinbase stock. ARKW, I believe, is the one fund that she has that holds Bitcoin. Very interesting DeMark work. You got a 9 bottom, a 5-wave bottom, or a C bottom for in the end of an ABC correction. So here was the 13. There was the 9. The level that had the held was 37.64. Obviously, it overshot that because everything overshot on the downside late last year when the world was coming to an end. And of course, it's not. It's not. Okay. The only question is, how do you manage Q1 volatility? That's the only question. GBTC. Can you believe I'm even saying that? GBTC is right on a big weekly inflection point. GBTC has not been able to get through that point. I am fascinated to see what happens if people come out going after this thing at a 40-something% discount to Bitcoin. In other words, GBTC is held by Grayscale. Grayscale may have problems related to FTX, etc. Everyone is worried that, they're going to have to liquidate all the Bitcoin in GBTC. There was a huge amount of FUD. I brought up the issue. It was very outside the box. And GBTC is holding. So there was bad news and GBTC held. Interesting, right? ETHE, Ethereum in the equity market. Williams oscillator moving near zero. The way ETHE works, it's sort of like if it's down in the summer, it's up in the fall. And if it's down in the fall, it's up in the winter. And if it's down in the winter, then, it's up headed into spring. So this time, ETHE collapsed into the winter solstice of December 21, and they had to kill it just for good measure. I'm guessing we wake up tomorrow morning and Ethereum and ETHE are higher. Rugby Performance Labs, welcome. I'm guessing Ethereum is higher in the morning, and I'm guessing these crypto-related equities, I'm hoping, are off to the races. Seriously. Like, if Coinbase has to come on American football games and start their commercial with, we're sorry to bother you, and I know you think crypto's going to zero, but let us try to change your mind. That compared to FTX's Super Bowl ad. Think about it. Commodities, CRB index, okay, doing a triangle formation, breaking out above support. The dark circles are the full moon, which is coming up, I believe, in a day or two. Seems like on the way up in commodities, the consolidation was a little bit different, but, commodities like the full moon on the way up. I kind of want to see what happens with commodities. And remember, ETH, based on statistical analysis done somewhere else, right? When I was doing research, ETH follows metals and grains. Metals and grains higher, ETH higher. Now, you're like, Bill, this is a crypto show. Why are you showing me live cattle futures? Well, let me tell you about it. Live cattle futures are near their all-time high. Why? I don't know. I'm sure there's something specific going on in the live cattle futures market, but how about this? Live cattle futures or markets in general can sometimes foreshadow coming events. So what would cattle futures do, say, if there was work that showed problems with the weather, problems with droughts, problems with storms, problems with cattle in general. Mr. Market is already on it. Feeder cattle, okay? Cattle that eats corn, so corn up, feeder cattle up in price. The more expensive it is to feed the animal, the higher the price of the animal. So feeder cattle has not gotten to its recent high, but obviously it's on an uptrend. And you're like, Bill, I don't understand why we would care about this. Don't worry, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you. Because I have conviction now about water. So this is BARC. What's BARC? Well, BARC is something you need GLDN to buy. And the way I'm going to explain BARC is that simply it is an attempt to put a pricing mechanism on water. Simple, right? The group, our guys, the fundamental guys, have contacts in Greenland. They have the phone ringing off the hook with people going, oh, we're going to have a water problem in N months, years, whatever. Let's talk. Meanwhile, people who own GLDN got airdropped this morning. This is the whole reason why I got into the project. No one has talked about the power of water. Certainly no one is talking about, we're talking about commodities, but now I know that I don't know anything, not investment advice, but I suspect weather is going to be an issue. And if weather is an issue, water could be an issue. And if water is an issue, the capital markets now have a water mechanism. That would be BARC. Now, in order to get involved in BARC, it's not an ETH pair. Okay. These guys have done something crazy. Okay. They have made GLDN. Okay. So let me just put up the daily chart. So if you want to trade, I guess we could call it the water pricing mechanism, you got to have GLDN. And if you have GLDN, you can get airdrops, etc. And I can tell you personally, you want to know what I did at the end of the quarter last month? This was before I read the GAN work. I was like, I'm doubling my position in BARC. I'm doubling it. Simple as that. You know, what are you long for this year? Commodities, get an interactive broker's account, ETH, right? Make money while you can. January, right? Summer rally, picking it up on a dip in March. GLDN pays a reward in packs, but what GLDN really does is it's the gateway to BARC, to water. Now you're going to be like, okay, Bill, you're talking your book. I'm like, okay, I'm talking my book. I'm not talking my book. I'm talking my research. I can whip out my iPad and show you the little book where I'm like, you know what? This is really interesting. Because what's not in the book is that there could be a connection in GAN work, right? Straight up astrology type stuff, where if you had a drought with the type of planets that are involved, that could be good for crypto. And if you had a drought crypto or just ETH or whatever, you do what you want, okay? But my conviction in this just went way up. And I don't care who doesn't like it. Of course, I appreciate y'all watching the show and the video. I took a lot of heat on this. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Now, let's look at Bitcoin and ETH on DeMark work. Okay. So there's nothing going on here except looks like something is starting. So we have some green. And I've got resistance at 1291. I'm working off the ETH daily chart. Bitcoin is pretty much the same thing. Okay. Bitcoin could go one way or the other. All right. Let me just put the DeMark work here. You know, it probably takes 2 more up days to get it going in Bitcoin. Okay. ETH. You know, on the ETH weekly chart, 3 weeks ago, we had a 13 bottom right on top of major support. Now, ETH hasn't done anything. Okay. ETH hasn't confirmed the 13 bottom yet, but I don't think anybody wants to sell ETH below 1150. Okay. Okay, so somebody said the numbers are hard to see on BARC. Okay, I don't think I can make the numbers bigger. I can make the candles bigger. So BARC, if we look at a 4-hour chart, okay, and again, this is just a representation of BARC versus ETH, I believe, or BARC in terms of dollars. Sorry, so this is not the pair. So it looks like 8 cents. Right. And again, that's not how you trade it, but basically BARC was airdropped initially, went down, went up, and then the tax loss sellers took over. Kind of love the fact that the tax loss sellers killed this. They killed it probably on like the dawn of something bigger. So looking at GLDN in terms of dollars. Okay. Okay, so the rally took off from roughly 71 cents. Okay. I want to say the low was lower than that, but that's where the original rally took off from. And that's where you recently had a bottom. So the launch zone in GLDN was between 62 cents and 85 cents. That was the launch area for the original move. Okay. Water. How are you paying for water? You're paying for water with GLDN. And, altcoins can go to zero. I get that. But you could get involved in something early. Don't you remember everyone saying, oh, you want to get in early? Or you want to buy the dip. Okay, here's a dip. Everyone's selling on the verge of something happening in commodities, which, again, you don't have to believe me. Just look at what's going on in cattle futures, and maybe you can follow what's happening in wheat. Okay, so let's go back to DeMark. Share the screen here. Okay. Okay, I do want to go to stocks. The thing that's funny is stocks and gold may have a better month than anyone thinks. I'm kind of interested in what's going on here in Tesla. So Tesla's earnings were out. They seem to be disappointing. And guess we'll find out tomorrow morning if that's priced in or not. So that's either going to mean Tesla's going to fill a gap at 110 or Tesla's going to move up to 179. Okay. It would be pretty funny to see all of this stuff that everybody gave up on start trading better. Start trading better. Okay. Okay. So I'm being told OpenAI has gone up 40% in the last 24 hours. Okay. So not investment advice. I don't even know what this is. There are AI plays being made in the market. I will tell you that, small altcoins can obviously do very well. I work for one of the projects. Okay. Now, if you're going to trade AI in crypto, I think it's in and out, right? It's a trading thing because everybody just saying, oh yeah, I'm in AI now was like everyone saying, oh, I'm in blockchain in 2017. In 2017, if you were a corporation and didn't say something about your blockchain strategy after Bitcoin went up, that the analysts were like, oh God, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. Okay. I think with everyone thinking about AI, even though there's some stuff with AI that's really cool, I'm just sort of wondering whether or not we need to go back to, ready for this? Here comes a danger word, Web3. Anybody remember Web3? Like, has anyone thought that maybe AI makes Web3 better? Does AI change the NFT landscape? Is anyone talking about that? No. Right? No. People have talked about everything but price. That's why I've got the Cardano chart up here. People have talked about everything but price. And our thumbnail and title implies, that if you get a roller coaster and you get the dip in January, there's always dips in January, right? If you get the dips in January, maybe it's time to take a look and take a shot. Okay. And it's definitely time to start thinking about ETH, commodities, and Bitcoin, and when you want to get long and how you get your capital together January, March, and June. Like, I'm going to talk January, March, and June every day at a granular level. Like, I'm not going to just say January, March, and June. We're going to try to get you on the market update. So again, a word, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're tuning in, and tell your friends the market update is back. Not only is it back, but in my opinion, you're going to need it, right? One of the great things about doing this show is that I get to help people. So let's make money. Let's get it while it's hot, right? Get it while it's hot and get it on dips, right? And if there's some big scary news that come back, it could be the macro, it could be the Fed. We want to think about opportunities to get long the stuff that's going to do well into the summer, like from spring to summer. And then we got a GTFO in the fall. Now, one reason why I like the commodities and water play is because we may not be subjected to the equities problem that happens in September, because everybody will be focused on that and probably miss like a rally that goes all year. Because in all the big crash years like 87 or 1929 or stuff, the equity market actually went way up before it went way down. Okay. Now let's just do gold, because I've been talking about gold. Okay. If Bitcoin does nothing in January, in other words, if it's a good January, but it's not a massive January, then that's going to open the door for gold. Okay. And if you look at the linear regression band in gold, just to keep it really simple, 1887 is the top of the band. Let's take a look at silver. I didn't look at this. This is like your live TA. So, is silver overbought? No, I think this is an accumulation cone from Jesse Livermore. Okay. And I think silver could easily get to 26 on its way to 27. Again, straight regression band type stuff. Straight regression band. Okay, Aiken says, Uranus in Taurus for the next few years, there will be drastic changes in commodities, including shortages and surpluses. Oh, yeah. That's the trade of the year. It could be commodities retirement. Okay. Somebody's asking me, do I ever short? Not financial advice. Okay. I get short like old school style. Like I'll use stock instruments to get short if I think stocks are going to go on some sort of downtrend or have a crash. Okay. So we have some requests. Let's take a look at ELMR. Okay, so one of the things you're going to be asking yourself in your altcoin, first of all, where is it on the 90-day regression band? So you go to indicators, right? And then you drop down to linear regression channel. It doesn't always matter, but I just kind of think because, things like all these altcoins are sitting on top of all these numbers. And you've got this natural inflection point where like the tax loss selling, like, anybody who was going to tax loss sell did it at the end of last year. We'll do it at the beginning of this year, right? To spread the losses out, maybe. Okay. So, but this has got room, right? This has got room. Okay. I think one of the other things that you're going to want to do, going back to, to GLMR, let me just, this is not particularly the case right now, but what do I do with this? Definitely going to want to know where things are relative to the Williams Alligator moving average system. Okay. So this is a little bit convoluted. Okay. One of the reasons why I think you're getting a rally today, and we covered this on the last stream, is that these moving averages, okay, let me just get the GLMR label back on here. These moving averages, they compile different time frames. So I have to look at 3 of them instead of like 3 different moving averages on 3 different time frames. Williams was a quant guy. He just aggregated it. And what they do is, it's both a momentum system and a reversal system, meaning when you get too far away from the mouth of the alligator, you can have reversals. These little candles, these like little stalemates on support, like right here, like the blue ones, they're called squat bars. Yeah, that's how you got the rally today. And as long as this stays green, this may not be the worst candle in the world. It may be like the market trying to hammer out a bottom. Okay. In other words, if your altcoins got anything left, I'm hoping you're going to see it in January. Okay. And you may see it in March because the dip in crypto may be in Bitcoin only. Now, of course, if Bitcoin gets the flu, the whole market gets a cold. I get it. Or if Bitcoin gets a cold, the whole market gets the flu, but that may not be true. In other words, Bitcoin may be more stable, assuming there isn't some sort of like bankruptcy liquidation where, Saylor or all these guys that have got all this collateral tied up in bankruptcy court have to get out. I know there's a lot of carnage. There's a lot of suffering in crypto. I saw a letter the Winklevoss twins wrote. There's a lot of pain out there, and I empathize. The fact of the matter is, a lot of times markets go up when nobody's got the capital and nobody can get involved. Nobody can get involved. Everyone's like, oh, well, I don't have any money to play. And I get that. But the institutions have got money to play. And by the time retail figures out that they should play, it's gone. Could be what happens in January. And everybody piles in, and then it's probably a better buy in March. Okay. So, MATIC, nice 13 bottom on the 4-hour chart, right? Around 73 cents. The next level's 81 cents. Let's just see what we got going on the daily chart. A lot of really solid support at 73 cents. Okay. No major reason to sell MATIC right now. Not investment advice. Pancakes and peanut butter is here. Welcome. Driftless, we appreciate you, man. Watching on a delay. Appreciate that. Okay. MMK56 wants me to look at XMR. Let's do that. I tell you what. I know these privacy coins are touchy. These regulators, let me tell you something. They got bigger problems than privacy coins. Remember when this was like the big thing? Like, oh my God, privacy, DeFi. Oh, it's going to end the world. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Yeah. The world ended. Yeah. The world almost ended because the centralized entities like FTX were paying regulators. Fascinating, right? That was the crypto governmental financial system apocalypse. I'm still scared in a way that some legacy institution hasn't been affected by FTX. Of course, the market does climb the wall of worry, right? Markets climb the wall of worry. Okay, so when you look at Monero, right? There's resistance at 1150 pretty much no matter how you cut it, right? Let's see what is going on in the weekly chart. So there's nothing particularly exciting going on in Monero. Let's look at the monthly. Nothing going on the monthly. Let's go to the 4-hour. Okay. So on the 4-hour chart, yeah, there was a bunch of resistance at 150. So it looks like, this looks like people who owned Monero that actually did well, which is ironic, right? In other words, if this is November 10th, you actually did well holding Monero. So this looks like people taking profits, locking in their gains for this year instead of locking in their game for last year. Israel wants to take a look at Kusama. Try to get through as many altcoins as we can. Okay, so here's Kusama on a 4-hour chart. Okay, obviously due for a bounce. Let's see what the daily chart looks like. Okay, so, you know, one thing that's really interesting about stuff like Kusama, let's go to the weekly. You know, there are a lot of signals here. They haven't been confirmed yet, right? Like there's a 9 bottom, there's a 13 bottom. And it didn't get all the way down to $8, thank God. Okay. But you have to ask yourself, you know, like, is some of this stuff like totally out of gas on the downside? Let's go to 90-minute. Okay. So in Kusama, right, like anything else, you know, it's a solid downtrend. The plus sign means that the DeMark work is waiting for like one final down move before it puts in the 13 bottom. I don't know what that down move looks like. Those little, you know, you get to 12 over here, right? DeMark work counts 1 through 13 as like the way a trend would go. It's a set of conditions. Like if the high is higher than the high one day ago, we'll give it a 1. It's a quantitative system, right? So this quantitative system in Kusama says the next big puke potentially could be a 13 bottom. It doesn't mean it's a bottom, but I don't know, right? Like, has everybody forgotten about Web3? Like everyone's talking about AI, right? AI should be a component of Web3. If you believe in AI and you want to trade the AI narrative, shouldn't you be trading the Web3 narrative as a way to trade AI? Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of money like, okay, this altcoin has AI attached to it. Maybe. Okay. 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 Brick Dreams asking about JASMY. Wow. It's been a long time since I looked at that. Okay, so this is JASMY on Coinbase, 90-minute chart. Okay, obviously a big wick here, a possible A, B, C correction. So I think you want to be careful about FOMO. Okay, now that said, okay, JASMY does have the 5-wave bottom. Okay, so that could have been it. And 0.004 is the next level. So if this has got legs, great, right? In other words, if this candlestick is everyone getting out, because, you know, people always sell the first, people who have been trapped always sell the first uptick, right? And they say, okay, I rally. Okay, now I'm going to get out. Okay. And then you turn around and have this thing go back up to resistance. Maybe that's a January target point. Okay, let's take a look at Solana. TVL on Solana was down like 98%. Okay, so, you know, Solana on a weekly chart doesn't really, well, it's got a 13 bottom. Okay, that was 2 weeks ago. Solana hasn't done anything. The DeMark count hasn't reversed yet. So you can't tell whether this is a bear market rally or not. Okay, let's try the 4-hour chart in Solana. All right, so Solana went to DeMark resistance at $11.26. So, you know, people who are picking it up at 8, maybe just trading out of it at 11. Okay. I think you got to ask yourself, like I said, the title of this thing is buy the dip. It's not a bull market. You can buy a dip and make money. So XRP 13 bottom. Okay, January 2nd. My understanding is that somebody's getting a letter from the SEC of somebody's getting a letter of non-action. That's interesting, right? I have no idea who that is, but obviously XRP turned around like first day of the year on a 4-hour chart, went straight up. Okay. Let's take a look at what that makes the daily chart looks like. Okay. Very interesting looking candlestick. Okay. Very interesting looking D wave, right? So there was a top at 55 cents in September. There was 1, 2, 3 down, a range, and the final puke was today. So, I mean, if you look at this candle in XRP with that 5 and you're a believer, shoot your shot, man. Shoot your shot. Kyber Network. Okay, so like many instruments, right? This was the end of a 5 wave 2 days ago. You see that big 5 or the C? That basically means no matter how you draw it, the Elliott part of DeMark is showing a bottom. Now, frequently you want to have, you want to have something confirming that. So you don't really have the DeMark count on the daily chart to go with it. Okay, the next resistance point in Kyber is at 48 cents. And there's nothing on the weekly chart. So this is a good time to remind you that, hey, you got to find out what your altcoin's made of, and you may find out in January. But if you take, if you just go based on the Elliott wave, that line is a mistake. I don't know. I mean, this is we used to call this just a give up trade, right? And this DeMark, this DeMark stochastic indicator, I mean, it was shaded up here and it gave you the top, and it's shaded down here. And now the question is, was that a massive give up trade across the market? Okay. How big is it across the market? Okay, let's see what else I got going on here. Happy to take as many requests as I can. Okay, I think that's it. You know what? I do want to pull up the DeMark work on Avalanche. Okay. So, with the DeMark work on Avalanche, you don't necessarily have that really juicy Elliott wave bottom, but you do have a nice DeMark bottom, right? You have the 13 bottom, then you have the overshoot, you have the 9 bottom, and then, if you can muster an update in Avalanche tomorrow or thereafter, right, that could confirm that the 13 bottom is actually in. So upside could breed upside in bigger altcoins. Now, again, don't want to, don't want to create a cup of Kool-Aid, but I think this is like make money while you can. Okay. Somebody wants me to look at COTI. Okay. So, again, sort of a good DeMark signal. Stuff's exhausted. You never got the 13 bottom. So it kind of goes up and then, it gets sold. Not every coin is going to have the perfect DeMark setup. Although with this, like if you look at this on a weekly chart, I mean, some of these smaller coins, I mean, God, they've been so destroyed, right? You got 2 13 bottoms on the weekly chart. One of them was a bottom for like 6 weeks. And now we'll see what this one does. So, I don't know if I would short this because, I've got that 0 there, which is interesting. Okay. 0 can be the end of a trend. I don't know that I would short anything not investment advice. Okay, until you saw how it traded, say, the full first week. If they come after this stuff, then think about getting short at the end of the month. That's what I'm thinking, right? But that's not at the forefront of my mind. The forefront of my mind is, make money while you can. This is from a software called Symbolic, SYMBOLIK. I used to use DeMark work in stocks when I worked at Goldman, and now it's back. It's back. Oh, Iron Alien wants to talk about crude oil. Let's talk about crude oil. Crude oil, even though I'm all about grains and metals, I don't know that I want to see $150 crude oil. Okay. So, because it's not exactly Bitcoin friendly. And this is probably a good time to talk about geopolitics, because I don't think you can have a discussion about anything without having a discussion about the geopolitical situation. So obviously people are looking at this regression line. Oil hit 75 and it may have the stamina to go to 85, maybe. Okay. This is kind of an economic growth recession trade, and I'm going to let the market handle it. But when it comes to energy, you have cold. That's definitely going to happen. It's already started happening. And then there's how do things end in Ukraine? Well, my theory is it ends with a bang, right? Nobody wants to get to the negotiating table. Zelensky is hitting the Russians with our weapons, and the Russians have committed 300,000 troops, so nobody's going to back off. The only way somebody backs off is that there's a really big bang, which means the Russians use some large tactical nuclear weapon, or the Ukrainians have something up their sleeve that gets everybody to the table. Okay, I think the Chinese have already told the Russians that they want them at the table. It's a completely underreported story. The Chinese have told the Russians to get to the negotiating table because they're over the food and fertilizer inflation. Now, how do they get to the table? I don't know. I suspect it ends with a bang. It does end, but it's a climactic ending. Reverend Flashback, welcome. Okay, Reverend Flashback. Mr. Corstese, welcome. Nikki, looking at GALA. God, GALA. God, this gaming stuff. All of this like metaverse. I mean, I get it. The AI narrative is so amazing, but I know people are going to chase it, but if there's ever a way to tie in the hot narrative with what used to be considered really good stuff. So, okay, let's just get GALA here. Okay, so nothing on the weekly. And, how many times can you have a 13 and a 9 bottom that didn't work? You have a 9 bottom that is working. I would say the biggest signal in GALA, and I'm seeing this in some altcoins, this DeMark, sort of stochastic or oscillator is warning of something. Okay. A lot of times it can be a low, it can be a high. This 5-0 signal, that's impressive in GALA. Like a 5 is one thing. A 5 and a 0 means this trend is over. Okay. Just to drive that point home. Just to drive that point home. That 0. There's the 0 at the top of the Bitcoin cycle. November of last year. Now, if you got a 5 and a 0, meaning it's the 5th wave and the trend is over, I can't remember. I want to say it could be stocks. Let me see if I can pull it up on the weekly. Yeah. Okay. So here it is in stocks. 5 wave up, 0, January of last year. And then it was A, B, C down, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, either way. If it's A, B, C down, this whole trend could restart in stocks. Crazy, I know. Wouldn't that be great for us crypto people, right? Yeah, you had a stock rally like maybe the first week in January, and then maybe you had a stock rally after March, after we get done with all this Fed nonsense, which I'm so over, I can't even talk about. It's like, great, guys, rates at 5%. Okay. How's it going? What are you going to do about drought? It's going to make everybody's payments higher so that they're going to have to, car payments and house payments. You're going to have that stress, potential employment stress, and food and water stress. Bottom line is 5 and 0, if you're a GALA person, is interesting because that is a meaningful top. Okay. Aiken says, do you see Ukrainian land being partitioned with NATO and Russia or turned into a military wasteland of some kind? Well, it's funny you bring that up because if it ends with a bang, that's what happens, right? In other words, some part of the country is a parking lot because somebody's used a very big weapon. Okay. Let's hope that doesn't happen. What's going to happen is they're going to get to the negotiating table and something's going to have to happen. Now, it could be the freeze, the food, the water, who knows? It could be weather that gets them to the negotiating table. It could be, right? I mean, World War II, 1940, that year was the coldest, one of the coldest winters on record, right? And of course, everyone's like, oh, we're on the verge of, another world war. Okay, yeah, but go back and look at the weather on the last one. Maybe the weather is just so abominable that they got to end it. Okay. Reverend Flashback, I'm living close to Ukraine. Both sides are fed up with this war and look for an exit. Okay. Russia is facing an economic death sentence if they lose the Chinese support. Biden has said no negotiation. Okay. Everybody says no negotiation until they have to face up to a surprise. Right. Okay. So Dow Industrials, okay, probably very underappreciated because of the economic growth scare. So, the Dow has probably got, I don't know, it can rally 3% before there's resistance. And if there's a gangbuster January, it's got 10% upside. My guess is crypto can do better in January than stocks, but you never know, right? Stocks, I think you want to get in, you want to make sure you're in after the last scare in March. But again, famous last words, never underestimate the stock market's ability to use its imagination. Okay. So welcome to 2023. I told you what I'm doing. I'm glad you're here. If you want a 2023 preview, you can definitely watch this video and the live stream we did at the end of the year where we said, do you have to worry about crypto regulation? Okay, I'll give you a hint. All the people who were after crypto, the anti-crypto people, they were taking FTX money. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to those regulators. Wouldn't it be interesting if we got an interest rate pause, a regulatory pause with everybody bearish and out? Think about that. Okay, we made it to the end. Friends, we appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow.